Hi guys, I know this is kind of customary now as part of our videos, but James and I, we're on our grind, on our hustle here a little bit. We'd like to hit a like target of 30 for this video. If you don't mind helping us, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and any help on the algorithm is greatly appreciated. I think from memory, it's like 70% of the people watching aren't subscribed. If that's you, scroll down, hit the subscribe
It's
button.
actually 80%, guys. So come on.
80%, so even worse. But anyway, yeah, if you could do that for us, we'd appreciate it. But let's get on to the video. Okay, here we are. Game week 10 is in the books. Our predictions and the results of those predictions are on the screen. I've got a little bit more of a twist on my mouth here because I'm very happy that I've increased my lead by 3 points over James. I managed to get 2 correct results. I actually didn't have a great week, James. I'm not going to lie to you. 5 correct results out of 10 is not brilliant, 50%, but those 2 correct results really helped me out. Just the 4 correct results for you. I think we spoke slightly off camera. A couple of weird results. Brighton, Fulham caught us, I think, off guard. Chelsea, Brentford. I know Chelsea are unpredictable, but that was a bit weird as well. What did you make of game week 10?
Oh, again, it's not my fault, guys. I told you to start. I let Jed pick, and it's his fault. The reason why I didn't get as many. But to be fair, the last 3 he got correct. But yeah, not the greatest week. But Jack, as you said, this is the Premier League. This is football in general. Anything can happen in results like Chelsea. A bit of a shock to people when you actually look at the recent history of that fixture. Technically, kind of isn't a shock. You look at Wolves, Newcastle are rolling, and Wolves could have easily won that game there. You know, in a big one, West Ham, Everton. No one thought Everton was going to get something out of that. The fact that they won is massive for them.
Yeah, huge. Well, as we look at the totals, James tied it up, but he's let himself down a couple of weeks. I'm happy. I got a 6-point lead reinstated now, and I'm just going to keep chugging away, chipping on little 3 points here and there so that I'm out of sight at some point. But anyway, enough gloating from me. James is going to try and turn this around here with game week 11. And James, from memory, I think we are starting in West London with, yes, Fulham versus Manchester United. We both have gone for the correct score here. I want to have you go first, and then I'll follow on after you.
Based on, like, Jack, first of all, I'm just looking at recent history of it, based on the last, 10, 15 games, I think Man United are unbeaten against Fulham. And if I'm basing it on the history, it's Manchester United. But if I'm basing it on right now, anything can happen. As you can see, every time this team seems to play, it's just not convincing. It's just not great. And we've seen that, in the Copenhagen game, which was a massive drag for them. City, they were outclassed for 90 minutes, and they're just not playing with confidence. Manager is under pressure. But these are the sort of games that, you kind of look at and be like, okay, we have enough quality. Fulham haven't been great this year. Fulham, they haven't shown me enough enough this year. To me, they're lacking a lot in the attacking department, losing a player like Mitrovic there. I like to think that Man United can get over the line, but who knows with this Manchester United team generally, Jack? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, James, complete lack of attacking intent here for most of the Manchester United forwards. I think if you combine the likes of, I think, it's Højlund and Garnacho and Martial and Sancho and all these guys together, their combined goals and assists, it's like 1 or something insane like that. I'm not even kidding. But you mentioned it. I don't think Fulham are going to have enough to truly punish this Manchester United team. I think Rafael Varane will be back, which is going to be a huge help. This kid they've got from the academy that you speak to any Man United fan is God's gift to the world, is Kobbie Mainoo.
Yeah.
Back from injury, that was going to be the kind of new holding midfield kind of dynamo that they were going to have. He'll probably be on the bench, but him being back is interesting. And again, James, what have we seen from the previous games for Manchester United? Against teams they're more inferior, and they, by the skin of their teeth, but they do win these games. They've started winning these games. Man City was a wake-up call. I just think there'll be enough emphasis on trying to secure the win against Fulham, and Fulham won't be able to punish them. Moving on to the next game, Brentford versus West Ham. Now, this is fascinating. I found this really difficult to call. And guys, you can see by my result, by James's result, very different here. I took a leaf out of James's book. I did look at the old fixtures. It does seem to be a fixture that Brentford seem to do okay with. I would say, though, that I think West Ham are more in the ascendancy, Brentford kind of going down, but maybe a bit buoyed by that result against Chelsea going forward. I can just see West Ham maybe being a little surprised by Brentford, who might be hitting a little bit of form. I'm not sure. I still think the striker position is a huge area of concern for this West Ham team. So I'm just going with the home team and looking at a bit of the history. I've kind of washed my hands of this result. James, you've got West Ham taking it.
It's a weird one because Jack, I look at the 4 games that they've played, Jack, against each other in the Premier League. Brentford have won all 4.
Right.
So it's not even a thing where they've kind of been a little bit better. Jack, they've beaten them 4 times in a row, and like Jack, you look at the last 2 games, going away to Chelsea and winning, think about it, beating Burnley at home, keeping a clean sheet, and you're thinking, James, how can you go against this Brentford side right now, who is absolutely rolling? But I like to think at some point something's going to give. You can't be always beating the team. Sometimes you just got to look at the history of it. At some point, West Ham are going to look to get something from it. And they've had a good start to the season, Jack. But in recent weeks, especially in the Europa League and also now in the Premier League, they've been on a bit of a lull. But I like to think that they can finally get themselves back on track. So I've seen them just snagging it 2-1.
Moving on, Burnley, Crystal Palace, weird kind of game. You do wonder sometimes that, especially with Burnley at home, with a team that I don't know if they can be massively imposing, that maybe they can take control of the game and maybe we can see that form that they showed in the Championship last year. Obviously, the levels increased, but I do always have this sneaking feeling that one of these kind of mid-table or lower part of the table teams goes to Burnley and maybe gets completely outclassed. I'm going to say that doesn't happen this time. I think Palace have enough about them. And again, James, I know feel like I repeat myself on these videos an awful lot, but with Roy Hodgson, he's never going to set the world alight. But James, he's also never going to mess it up for you. He's going to come in with a good game plan. He's a good coach. He knows what he's doing. He's going to make sure that Palace are always competitive, but you're never going to see that expansive growth and development as a football club. I just think with Burnley at home, maybe a little more desperate, I think they'll be able to hold off on this one. James, you do have the home win. Do you want to explain that one?
I think, again, just like the Brentford game, Burnley have been a bit unfortunate in the Premier League, Jack. Jack, their last game against Bournemouth, Jack, that decision could change absolutely everything there. They have been unlucky, and Jack, they have played some nice stuff there. I like to think at some point that somehow they're going to get the rub of the green, and when you get a decision against you like that, it might favor you in the next game. And I look at Crystal Palace, and it's just a team that they're just there. They're never going to go down. They're never going to go up. They're just there at this moment of time. I like to think Burnley can finally just get a proper big win in the Premier League. Granted, they have been able to beat Luton, but to go ahead and beat a Premier League side who've been in there for a long period of time at home, I like to think that they can get the rub of the game. So I have 1-0 Burnley.
I do look at your score, and that one does worry me. I'm not gonna lie, because that could be a 2-pointer for you, and then a 2-point swing on me as well. Everton, Brighton, James, really interesting trying to assess Everton at the moment, and also Brighton as well to a certain extent. Everton, again, this whole XG thing, I know you're not a huge fan, it's probably kind of eye roll territory for you, but I think it does just prove that they're underperforming what you would expect from them. And again, on the most part, that means it's because they're lacking a finisher. We know this, ground covered. Yes, Calvert-Lewin scored at the weekend. Yes, they were able to get a win, that's fine, but it's not sustainable. It won't continue to happen. Brighton, though, James, feels like they were kind of believing their own hype a little bit, maybe got a little bit smug. I don't know. Maybe they thought they've got football figured out. But I just think that going to Goodison Park, which is a hard place to go, I know we could say that against any of these teams, but I just think it'll be more difficult for them and they're going to really have to show out. I don't think De Zerbi is going to let this Brighton side just relax and chill after a couple of results that for his standards are unacceptable. I think this will be a terrific football match, and I see Brighton just edging it away from home.
Jack, when I look at the last 2 fixtures of it, Everton won 5-1, and then the previous fixture before that 4-1 Brighton, and the previous fixture before that 3-2 Brighton. So it has had goals in it, and like maybe Jack might be onto something there. Everton, as much as we've criticised them, Jack, 3 wins out of the last 5.
Not bad.
Which is big. And I think we both had them losing the game against West Ham. The fact that they went away from home and went to shock West Ham was absolutely massive right now. They're playing with confidence. But Jack, it's this Brighton team, and granted, when I look at their form, no wins in their last 4. It's a bit worrying there. But I know what I'm going to get from Brighton. I know who Brighton is, and I know what Brighton can do when they're on it, and I like to think that they can get back to winning ways at Goodison Park, a place that they've been a bit successful in. So I'm going to say I'm going to stick with it, and I'm going to say 2-1 Brighton.
Yeah. James, I'll let you kind of continue on with this one. Man City at home, Bournemouth coming to town. You and me both pretty clinical.
Man City have won 12 out of 12 games against Bournemouth. But like Jack, what can I say? It's not something for us to really talk about. Etihad is the hardest place in the Premier League to go right now. I can't remember. I think they've lost once last season. Like at home, Jack, and when Manchester City gets going, especially once they get that early goal, Haaland is going to get a bit froggy. Foden may chip in. Alvarez there too. They got a lot of players that can score. I was even tempted to go 5, but 3-0. I'm going to sit on the fence, and I'm going to say sit on the fence to me saying 3-0 to Man City. That's what I consider sitting on the fence.
Yeah, I mean, it's a stat pad game. James and I think in our past, like, criticism, if you can even call it that, I think it's more of a reality check, but our criticism of Erling Haaland is we've said that there are these games where he can score 4 goals. He could do that this game against Bournemouth. These are exactly those kinds of games. And then people will look at over the course of a season and go, well, he scored 1 million goals. It's like, well, when you're at home and you score 4 of them against Bournemouth, kind of takes it away. You want them in the important kind of moments. But yeah, James, outclassed in every single department, coaching staff, manager, every position on the pitch, and they've got the home advantage, and they're in good form. No hope for Bournemouth in my opinion, unfortunately. Sheffield United Wolves, interesting game, very interesting game, because we know that Wolves might be able to create against a team that's probably going to kind of stand firm and try and not let many opportunities come up, but are Wolves going to be capable of scoring? This is always the question. I think they're going to just have enough. Pedro Neto is one of the better players in the league, maybe in Europe's top 5 leagues based on his current form. So I can just see Wolves sneaking this one. Go ahead.
Pedro Neto did get injured against Newcastle, his hamstring. So that is something that may need to. That is what I took into consideration with my result there. He did go down. I don't know. He might be fit for it, but the way he went down, it did not look good. And I'm expecting that he won't play in the game against Sheffield United. That's what I have one on.
I'm gonna leave it. Okay, although that changes that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel a lot less comfortable with it now that you've said that. I was unaware of that. Oh, okay. Yeah. No. I'm gonna leave it. I still feel okay. Wolves. There's a plethora of talent there. It's just about piecing it together and finding the back of the net. Again, Neto's a huge part of that being possible. So I'm not gonna lie, a little nervous. James, any analysis kind of on this game?
Jack, if Pedro Neto was available, I would have. If I knew Pedro Neto was definitely available, I would have went for the Wolves win. But the fact that he's out there, he brings so much to them, Jack. Yeah. He is such a good football player. In January, I hope Aston can put in a bit for him because he will make a big difference to us. So yeah.
Moving on to the next game. James, I'm going to let you start and take it away. Arsenal, Newcastle. Huge game. Obviously at St James's Park. Huge game. How do you see this one going?
Tough one for Arsenal, tough one for Newcastle. I don't think that the Champions League football this week, I know Newcastle go away to Old Trafford in the League Cup, and we go away to West Ham. So both teams are going to be away. Probably not going to play as much of a strong team there, but prime time for both teams. It's just my thing right now where I think Arsenal play better away from home. Jack, I think we've lost one game away against Lens in the Champions League, but going away to Seville and playing that sort of way against that sort of side there, it just shows us that we do travel away very well. The annoying bit for me that Thomas Partey isn't available, because I would have loved to see the Thomas Partey, Declan Rice double pivot there, but I just like to think, I know the crowd's going to be there. I think the biggest part, if Arsenal can hold out these first 25 minutes against Newcastle like we did last season, because we struggled in them first 25 minutes, but after that we were able to go on. And Jack, you've seen the exact same thing from Borussia Dortmund, where home crowd is there, they're pumped, they're ready to go, and once you can kind of calm them down, get that ball moving, you can really hurt Newcastle. I just like to think that we can just go there and just squeak a little 1-0.
I think again, similar to the PSG game, I think this is a test. It's it's a litmus test for where this Newcastle United team are. James, you brought up the pairing I think we'd like to see, and I can't think of a more important player for Arsenal Football Club going into this game than Declan Rice. If Declan Rice has a good game, Arsenal can win this relatively easily, I'd say. And I don't mean to say that to be disparaging towards Newcastle United. I just mean that the way that Newcastle United play, the structure of that midfield, and what they want to try and do, especially with playing, playing down the channels with those faster players for Newcastle as well. I think if Rice can break that up, and then you've got Arsenal and their very potent attack, the likes of Eddie Nketiah getting a hat trick, or Mikel Arteta, again, maybe he's playing chess while everybody's playing checkers. He rests a couple of players. Again, maybe he could call it tactical, maybe not. But with this game and the next couple of games in mind, Arteta may have pulled off an absolute masterstroke there. So I'm going to still go with the fact that I think Arsenal's midfield might get a little bit overwhelmed by the physicality and dynamism of Newcastle and that home form as well. But as you can see, James, by my score, I don't think Arsenal are going to be pushed over in any big way here. I think this will be a fun, high-scoring football match. But again, we will see. Moving on to the next game. Nottingham Forest versus Villa. Villa are a great team. I don't know what to tell you. Unai Emery's absolutely killing it. They've got depth. I mean, Nicolo Zaniolo might be facing this ban potentially, but they've got depth. They can kind of get you from anywhere. Defensively, still very stout. And Unai Emery knows his stuff. We know, I can just go back into the bag and reach for the things that I say all the time with Forest. Yeah, they do. There's some individual talent there and some serious players, but I don't think they're a major contender against this Aston Villa team, who at the moment, James, are just rolling. Diaby, Watkins, all these guys kind of coming at you. Douglas Luiz in the form of his life as well. I can just see them, maybe even an early goal to catch Forest off, and then they'll think, oh man, this is going to be a long day. Can then keep getting them on the break. I can see this as an easy 3-0 win for Villa.
Again, have Villa win the game, but I don't see it being that comfortable. Jack, I look at Villa's form recently, absolutely incredible. 4 wins out of their last 5, unbeaten in their last 5, and looking at Nottingham Forest, haven't won a game in their last 5, got 3 draws in there, which might bode well for them. But I just think going away from home against Nottingham Forest, it will be difficult there. The crowd, all that sort of stuff, I have to take into consideration. But the biggest thing to me is the quality going forward, Jack. The quality of Ollie Watkins, Diaby, Leon Bailey, players that can come on, like Douglas Luiz. They have the ability to hurt a team like Nottingham Forest, and I just like to think it's not going to be as comfortable as you have it. I just see them snagging a 2-1 win.
Next game, Luton Town versus Liverpool. Again, Liverpool, they've had a nice couple of relatively easy fixtures at home. I'm even going to throw the Merseyside derby in there as relatively easy, but I just think that there's enough there for them to just keep on rolling. This Luton Town team are not a Premier League football team, so easy 3-0 win for me.
Jack, I'm going to change it. I'm going to change mine a little. To be fair to Luton, they have won a game against Everton. Haven't won in the last 4, Jack, but they do have a draw against Nottingham Forest there. But I thought they were at Anfield there. I was gonna say that, but no. Leave it at 4-1. Yeah, leave it at 4. I like to think that they can get a goal there, but Jack, as you can see with that Liverpool front 3, it depends who's who's gonna want to hit you. Salah, Diaz, Jota. I know something's going on with Luis right now and his family, and hopefully everything can get sorted there. But if he plays, he's another one there that can just rip their hearts out. So that front 5, even with Szoboszlai there, it will be too much for Luton. So 4-1.
Yeah, Liverpool absolutely rolling at the moment. And final game of the week. And James, I'm not going to lie to you, Newcastle Arsenal certainly sticks out, but I think especially the way Spurs are playing and the way Chelsea are playing, and also the history of this fixture and how Chelsea usually do, this is going to be a hot one. Tottenham versus Chelsea. I've gone for 2-0. I think that Brentford game was a real dagger. Any momentum that Chelsea thought they had in terms of figuring it out and sorting out what they're doing, what they're trying to do, that combined with the injuries, combined with all the stuff that the litany of stuff that we can list off for how Chelsea have been, an issue basically this season and the pre-season, I think that's all going to come to a head in a huge game for Tottenham. One team playing with real cohesion, really know what they're doing, up for the game. And James, probably this kind of confidence, I initially called it like kind of fake confidence because they're not really winning a big game. I know Chelsea aren't where they want to be, but a win against Chelsea is a win against Chelsea in whatever form that takes. And this Tottenham team, it's going to go from kind of fake confidence to just legitimate confidence in their own ability, in their manager, in the rotation of the squad. January transfer window coming around soon. Is there going to be some extra investment and some additions to the team? Everything's going really well for Spurs. And Chelsea, it seems like a couple steps forward and then a step back. And I think this will be another step back for them, back-to-back losses.
I think in this fixture, Chelsea in the last 9 games against Tottenham, 6 wins,
Yeah.
1 loss. Spurs were able to beat them last season at home, but Poch coming back to White Hart Lane. I think this might be his first game back. I'm not particularly sure, but I'm pretty sure this is his first game back at Tottenham. All the emotions there. Granted, Spurs are going to want to get him because now he is a Chelsea manager. But if Spurs are able to win this, Jack, we might have to have an uncomfortable conversation. I'll be honest with you, we're going to have an uncomfortable conversation about them maybe potentially being title contenders, because you cannot go 11 games, and be unbeaten, and beating the teams like going away to the Emirates and getting something, beating Man United, beating Liverpool. Granted, what happened against Liverpool, then adding Chelsea to it too, Jack, it is impressive. If they do win that there, it is impressive. But I just like to think that Chelsea have been up and down. Yeah, up and down this season. Some good results, some bad stuff there, and you're not sure what you're gonna get. But overall, I don't think that I'm crazily impressed with Tottenham, Jack. It's mad to say they're unbeaten, but I'm not massive. They're doing really well, and Jack, they're playing great football. But to say I'm blown away by them is not that. They've been able to get results, and that's a big thing. Yeah, they've been able to get results. My issues there is that where's that goal going to come for Chelsea? I know the quality that Spurs have with Maddison's, with Richarlison, who hasn't really scored yet, with your James Maddison. That's going to be the killer thing. I like to think that maybe a goal from Sterling might come, but I'm just going to sit on the fence here because I don't see Pochettino going back to White Hart Lane in his first game back against Tottenham and losing. I don't see that happening, so I'm going to sit on the fence here. But Spurs, I will not be surprised if Spurs win this game.
Yeah, I can only see it really going one way, to be perfectly honest with you. Guys at home, as before, please hit that like button. Drop your own predictions down in the comment section. We want to see them. We need to see proof before the game week starts. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already. Hit the bell if you want to be notified for when we post. And until next time, we will see you.